Imagine that your hip joints are one big monowheel, and body above it is vertical line that this wheel moves those space. Legs are mechanism that moves this monowheel. In dynamic movement, not matter direction, it is very important not to separate hips, no matter if you stand on one leg or two. One of most common mistakes happens during weight transfer to one leg. Dancer completely forgets about second hip. Sometimes it simply follows supporting hip, and this is not worst option. But very often second hip starts to live separate life, and this leads to loss of balance. And now let's move to practice. Stand on 2 feet and softly lower into knees. This correct lowering angles appear in hip joints and spine position above heels. Now move wall construction, hip joints and spine forward toward toes while keeping body vertical. Next action is very small but extremely important. Rotate both hips upward under ribs, keeping body weight over toes and not changing body position. And now we come to most difficult and most important part. Keeping upper body position in hip joints, you need to drag both hips backward while keeping vertical line in body. Final action. Return wall construction, spine and hip joints back to starting point over heels. For easier understanding, imagine clock face. We use following cycle 6, 3, 12, 9, 6. Point 6, starting point lowering into knees. 3, moving construction forward those feet. 12, rotating hips upward under ribs while keeping body stable. 9, most difficult part, moving hips and spine backward while keeping upper hip position. And return to 6, soft lowering of wall construction back to starting point. Depending on hip position inside this cycle, knees will be also react, bending or straightening more or less. But it is important to remember, in swing dances we also add physical rise on feet, but in tango, wall process happens with much smaller amplitude without strong knee changes and without rising feet. As exercise, try to do same cycle while standing only on one leg. Most common mistakes. Moving hips forward without moving body together with them. Falling body forward in first part of cycle. Creating hip cycle those body instead of those hips. How to create stable top position and rise. Answer to this very popular question is now simple and clear. We synchronize position 3 with physical beginning of rise in knees, 12 with continuation of rise those feet, and point 9 with final and highest point of rise. And now most important information. One full cycle takes minimum 1 musical bar if we speak about basic timing. In 3/4 timing, this is 3 counts, for example waltz or Wiener waltz. In 4/4 timing, 4 counts of 1 bar, for example tango or foxtrot. If syncopations appear inside bar, hip cycle itself does not change. You simply divide same action into bigger number of steps inside same musical time. But most difficult and same time most beautiful is ability to stretch one cycle those 2 bars. This creating feelings of real slowing down and full control of movement. Very often you can see this in waltz or Wiener waltz, especially in explosion position. And finally, our favorite prominent position. Here principle stays exactly same. Monowheel underbody moved by legs. And one small but very useful trick. To lower softer after high positions in prominent position, try to keep both hips in position corresponding to number 1 on clock face. At the same time, knees and feet continue working normally. After lowering, you can finish full cycle and return joints back to starting position.